Hello again. My name is Mike Sebenaler, and I'm going to be talking to you today about habits of work in today's world, dealing with remote learning and remote work, considering the COVID pandemic. So, as we're talking more and more about everybody working from home or doing school from home, we've kind of got a little lax on certain aspects of our habits of work. So, over the next 20 minutes or so, I just want to discuss some of the things that we need to be focusing on and some of the different attitudes and habits that we need to brush up on as we are going through and dealing with this pandemic. And to be honest with you, I don't think this is going to change much over the next 20, 30 years. This is going to turn into something that is more substantial and normal in a sense, because people are realizing that they can work from home. They don't need to have a big office, and we have to still be professional with what we are doing. So, as we get into this, personal responsibility for learning, which means we're demonstrating an initiative and responsibility for learning. It's self-direction, okay? So, when we are at school or we are at work, we're there, which is a lot easier. We all can understand that. We need to make sure that we are attending work regularly or we attend class regularly. So I know that's very hard with the remote, or not remote, with being in person. We need to be motivated to get to class. We need to be motivated to get to work. This means that we need to be there. Otherwise, you can't just take a day off whenever you want. That just doesn't work very well. You guys, we need to understand, work doesn't start right when you walk in the door. If you're scheduled for 9 o'clock, you don't walk in at 9 o'clock to go to a job. You need to walk in 15 minutes early. You need to be able to take your coat off, get your coffee, go to the bathroom, set your place up for the day. Give yourself 5-10 minutes to take a breath before you actually jump in. As an employer myself, I despise having one of my employees walk in at 9:01 because their shift starts at 9 o'clock. It's going to take them 10 to 15 minutes to get ready, which means I'm already paying them on the clock and they're not even ready to work. So that's wasted almost 15-20 minutes of their time, and that's wasted 15-20 minutes of my money. So that doesn't work. Be there on time, which means be there 15 minutes early. We need to follow all of our safety emergency procedures, which means, like right now, I'm from home, which means I'm not wearing a mask. You can see my face. In person right now until otherwise safe. And so otherwise someone says something, we need to understand we need to be wearing our mask. We need to be 6 feet apart. We need to be washing our hands every time we touch anything. We should be washing our hands, 7-8 times a day minimum. We need to make sure that we're taking care of our masks. We're cleaning our masks. We're washing our masks. We're using different masks, not the same mask every day. That doesn't work. Emergency procedures. If someone is sick, we need to get them out. If you have a temp, you need to stay home. All of these things are there for everybody's safety. We need to remember that, especially when we have to go into a location. You need to make sure you are prepared, which means have all your gear with you. Don't be running, you get in the office and then, man, I got to run back home because I forgot this or I forgot that. We have technology now with all of our paperwork that we should be able to share our information from home to work within a few minutes if need be. So make sure you're ready. Participate. This is when we are in the office. This is that time you get to actually be with people. Sitting there quietly, not asking questions, not talking to your boss, not talking to your colleagues. That does not create a very good work environment. You have to remember that we are there to be together. So this is that time to really shine and try to fill your cup, so to speak, with people around you. So that way you can be that team player that everybody needs you to be when you are at work. Always, always, always communicate with your teacher / boss. Your boss is a teacher, your teacher is your boss, right? It's the same thing. That means you're going to say hi. That means you're going to go, hey, what's going on? You're going to take that 5-10 minute time minimum to communicate with them every day. At the beginning of the day, you should be talking to them at the end of the day if possible, just to kind of shore things up with where things are at. Do not feel that they're too busy for you. You have to remember that you need to make time to talk to them because they need to make time to talk to you. That is proper communication back and forth. If you have a question and you can't do anything verbally, you can always chat. You guys are real good with text messaging. Text message, instant message over a computer screen, send an email. Those are all forms of communication. It doesn't always have to be face to face, but make sure you can do something morning and at the end of the day. Okay, Wednesdays, remote days. These are the first starts. You guys are seeing this now. So same aspect. What are we doing? We got to attend regularly. Just because you're online doesn't mean that you're not attending class. Again, work, same aspect. I work remotely for most of my stuff with my Maple Leaf job. So my guys know that at 9 o'clock in the morning, I am at my desk. My phone is on. They can call me. They can chat with me. They can text me. They can do a Zoom meeting with me. But I am basically available starting at 8:45, 9 o'clock till 5 p.m. for any help that they need. So if I'm not, I let them know the day before, or I let them know at 6 in the morning if I'm sick, so they know, not 5 minutes before, and I don't bail on them. So again, what we just talked about, logging into Google Meet, Zoom, on time. You should be 5 minutes early, not 5 minutes late. It's the same aspect. I don't understand why people think that Zoom or Google Meet is any different when you are in person. Just because you're on a screen and you're home doesn't mean that you have the right to be late. So you have to understand that. You can get fired from that. There are bosses, there are companies now that are saying, sorry, you're late, you're fired. You know, like, I'm home, I'm on my computer, I'm here. No, you weren't. You were 5 minutes late. You disrespected me, disrespected your team, you disrespected the time. That's not how it works. So 5 minutes early. Follow along. This is tough. Everybody understands following along, viewing virtually. You're looking at a screen, you're by yourself. You can get tired, you can doze off. It's hard. It's very, very hard. But you have to figure out a way to do it. If you are just recording and listening to this message and you start to doze, hit stop, hit pause, walk around for a few minutes, come back and stretch your legs. We understand if you've been sitting on your butt for 45 minutes, that's not normal. You need to be able to get up and to do things. If you are not listening to a recording, you need to keep that video screen on if you can. You need to keep your audio on, but you need to have yourself muted so that way the presenter can talk and you can hear. I don't know how many times it's been rude where so many people don't turn off their mic and I'm trying to speak. It's just like if we are in class and all of a sudden you start talking to your friend and I'm in the middle of talking, that doesn't work either because now you're disrespecting me and I got to talk over you what you just told your friend. Again, we're back to participating actively. When the presenter is ready, you need to make sure that you are ready to talk. Be ready to ask questions. It's pretty self-explanatory. Again, what do we do is we go into communication with the teacher boss. Now, this can be a little bit harder because you're not physically there, but your email, your chat, your Zoom, your video camera, these are tools in your bag to use, which you should be using every day. And frankly, the way that you all have grown up, you're used to cell phones. You're used to texting. You're used to video chat. You're used to Instagram and Twitter and everything like that. This should not be difficult. All you have to do is just do the same thing. You're just emailing or chatting or sending a message to your boss or your teacher. It's the same aspect as a friend. It should be second nature. The people that should be having tough times with this would be people like your mom, your dad, your grandparents, not you. You grew up with this. So, frankly, there's no excuse. So just remember that. So, as a person myself that has to work mostly from work from home every day, everything we just did on Wednesday, I got to do every day. Okay. So again, I have to follow along virtually. I got to be able to make sure that I'm still available every day. Again, and I need to communicate with all of my employees every day. This is so again, this is something you have to get into, like a structure or routine. Call the office, call the people in, check in, send an email out to your teacher, send an email to your boss every morning, every day at noon, every day at 5 o'clock. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to get on and do a Zoom call. I have to do, I still do college classes myself right now. I had a question that I had to ask an administrator about diversity in our classroom. So what did I do? I sent an email out. It took a couple days. We got together, got a little Zoom call in. It took 15 minutes. And I had a nice 15-minute conversation with this administrator. We got the questions all out. My homework assignment's done. It took 15 minutes. Not very hard to do, but you got to do it. Okay. Lastly, be accountable. You have to remember to take the initiative. You are yourself. So you've got to find a way to stay motivated. Whether you give yourself a time frame or a clock or something that's quick, that you can kind of say, I've done 30 minutes, you fill it in, and after 5 hours of doing something, you can go take a massive coffee break, or you can go out to eat for lunch. You've got to find something that's going to motivate you to do the work that you need to do, because you don't have people around you. So now you have to learn how to do this yourself. If you need help with motivation, this again, what do? Go back, communicate with your teacher, communicate with your boss, come up with a plan to stay motivated. Don't just think that you're there by yourself. You have people. Be accountable to yourself and ask. That means, again, take the initiative. Okay. Moving on to the next. Persistence. I love persistence. It means we never give up, right? We never stop. There's no such thing as stopping. We problem solve. Everything we do today, we are problem solving. We're problem solving COVID. We're problem solving school. We're problem solving this hybrid learning environment. You name it, we're trying to figure it out. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be fun, and we're going to fall on our face and we're going to fail. But we learn more from failure than we do from just succeeding, and we're going to get better at it. So let's kick into this real quick. Again, in person. What are we doing? We use feedback. Feedback from the teacher, feedback from us. Don't be afraid to get feedback. Good, critical feedback can help you become better. Okay? Great bosses are going to give you what's called a nugget in the beginning, saying how awesome you are. Then they're going to come up with something that's critical, that's going to say, hey, but you need to work on this because this is not working out really well, and you're kind of dropping the ball here. And then the boss is going to come back and reinforce how awesome you've been doing with something else and encourage you to do better. Okay? This is a great way of getting feedback from your teacher or from your boss. Okay, guys and gals, complete and submit your work. Activities that have to be done on time. Just because you're at home doesn't mean that the stuff can't get done. Okay? I have homework that's due March 13th. It is March 1st. I'm going to make sure that my stuff is in 5 or 6 days early, just because I have to, but I'm planning it. I spent 3-4 days getting a hold of this administrator to do these 2 questions, and because I knew my homework was due on the 13th of March. So now that they're done, I can finish up the other parts and I can get that stuff done. But I had to think about it. Okay? You have to time manage yourself. And when you are in person, you need to make sure that those are the times you have available to really get that person in front of you, focus, get the notes you need, so you can submit everything going on. Be honest with yourself and with others. Do your best. Okay? No one's asking you to do more than your best. Okay? But understand what your best is. Think of yourself in a box and always push yourself to do a little more to make your best even better. Okay? But that's the best. Back again, we go back to our remote days. What does this mean? We are going to, again, use our feedback from the teachers and boss to improve performance. So how do we do this on remote days? Well, you are usually on a Zoom call. You're on Google Meets. Ask your teacher, ask your boss for feedback. Okay? Simple enough. All you got to do is ask. Okay? If they're telling you to make sure that your video needs to stay on and your audio needs to stay muted, well, remember that and do that. Okay? That doesn't mean they're just, they're tattling on you or you're getting in trouble. They're giving you suggestions to be more presentable, especially when you get out of school. Same aspect, complete and submit your work and activities on time. You're at home, time manage again, but now you don't have that person in front of you. So now you have to probably take your time management and you're going to have to stretch it out. So if a homework assignment or a work assignment is due next Wednesday and you need to talk to people, you need to start now. It's Monday. You have 7 days. You may not be able to get a hold of that person right away. So when you send that email or you send out that chat or you try to make a phone call, you leave a voicemail, it may take them 24 hours to get back to you. They may be busy until that Thursday or Friday. But if it's due the following week, well, at least you still have 3 or 4 days to get it done. So when you're in person, it's faster, it's simpler. You're able to talk to people right away, normally. When you are in remote days, whether it's just Wednesdays or when we get to the next part, when you're doing longer days every day like I do, you need to plan it out to keep talking because you're not going to get a hold of people every day. So time manage, time manage, time manage. Again, be honest with yourself that you're doing your best. You can, when you are sitting down and talking to these people, you're also creating documentation that you are trying to get a hold of these people so that you're doing your best. If they don't get back to you, that's not your fault. So remember that if your teacher or your boss is asking you to get a hold of these people and you've got 5 voicemails, 6 emails, a chat or 2 out, and they haven't responded to you, then you're doing everything you can, and you can just go right back up to the teacher or your boss at the feedback and be like, look, I've done my best. I've got 15 different times in 6 days that I've tried to get a hold of these guys and they haven't responded. Well, that's okay. That's not your fault. Okay? So that's hard. Again, it's hard to do on remote days. Sometimes maybe they get super busy. Maybe they're not being accountable. You don't know. But as long as you're doing that, that's what counts. And then again, we talked a little bit about this time management. You chunk out your work. No one is asking you to sit in front of a computer every day on Wednesday for 7 hours. That's ridiculous. Your goal is to take, hey, I'm going to do this for 45 minutes. Stand up, take a break, go outside, take a walk, have something to eat, come back, chunk it out again, do another 45 minutes, but maybe don't do the same thing. Do something different. And you do that 3 or 4 times through the day. That's a pretty good work day when you've been on the computer by yourself. Okay? Sometimes if you need to do an hour and a half or 2 hours of long-term on the computer, set yourself a timer. 25 minutes, I'm going to do this. Stop, save, go to the next thing. 20, 25 minutes. Stop, change, do that. Take a break. If you're going to do one thing for more than an hour and a half, you're going to remember the very beginning, you're going to remember the very end. If you don't remember the middle, you're not going to remember as much as you need, and you're not going to do so well. So you need to take it bit by bit by bit. Okay. Every day. It's kind of repetitive here, okay? What are we doing? We're using that feedback again. We talked about that. Wednesdays and every day for when it's remote. These are pretty much similar. Email, chat, voicemail, all those things work the same way, okay? Again, time manage with our complete and submit our work and activities on time. When you're working every day, you have a little bit more time to maneuver, which means you have more time management, but you need to sit down. One little thing I can tell you with time management, I like to take the time usually on a Sunday afternoon or a Monday morning early cup of coffee, and I'll sit down for 45 minutes to an hour, and I'll take a piece of paper, or I'll take a couple pieces of paper, and I'm going to jot down all my to-do list. Then I'm going to go to my calendar. I'm going to make sure everything is all set, and I give myself that hour to prep. And that usually preps me out for 4 or 5 days. And if I can do that, that makes it a lot easier to understand what I'm going to be doing today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'm not just getting overwhelmed. But you have to be able to, again, come back to time management. You have to sit and you have to take time to plan. There's nothing wrong with planning. And in that plan, some of those plans can be, take 2 hours, like 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, where you just leave it open. Well, what does open mean? Open means I can take a nap. I can go for a walk. I can play a video game. There's nothing wrong with any of those. You can leave that time open because you give it that open time for it to be flexible. Sometimes that open time may get filled up. Your mom or dad or your boss may say, well, you have an appointment that just all of a sudden came up. When do you have time? Well, I have an 11 to 1. I was going to just take a nap. Well, I guess you're not taking a nap. You plug that in, and now you can do an appointment. Okay? Yeah, that stinks you don't have that open time anymore, but you have to give yourself that flexibility because stuff does happen. On a Tuesday, you get a call that you're going to do something Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning. Yeah. So this is all in between. Okay. Again, be honest with ourselves. We talked about that. And again, we chunk out our work. We've already talked about that. So I'm going to move on here to the next one. And this is called responsible citizenship. We take responsibility for personal decisions and our actions. I can't stress this enough. This is something that we have to focus on. Even adults of my age have this happen, and we don't do this. So I'm reteaching myself. So when we are together in person, what are we doing? We're going to respect the classroom. We're going to respect the office. Okay? We're going to make sure that we're not destroying anything. If we get mad, it's not mine. I want to make sure it's taken care of and we're in good shape. Okay, because of COVID, you should always have wipes on you now, if you can. Some type of anti-disinfectant wipes, if you get them. So you need to wipe down your desk. Use hand sanitizer. You should always have guys should have hand sanitizer wipes. Put them in your pocket. Put them in a bag or a little hand sanitizer in your backpack. Guys, it's imperative. Even today with the vaccines right now, we need to do it. Follow your cell phone expectations. I'll tell you, if you are at my office and you are on your cell phone playing a game, I'm going to send you out the door. I said, I'm not paying you to play games on your cell phone. If it's a very important phone call, sure, take the phone call. If you're at work, if it's an emergency. Everybody's classrooms are different. Typically, I will tell you, if I had a classroom, cell phones are off, period. Put them in your bag. You're not going to use them. There's no need. I have a landline right there if you need to make a phone call. Okay? You do not need to be talking to people while you are in the process of it in school or technically at the job. If it's really that big of a deal, they can always call the landline at the office to talk to you if something bad's happened. So your cell phone is designed to be used when you are outside the office or outside of school because you're not around a landline to have conversations, not while you were there. Be positive. Yeah, that's tough today, isn't it? Being positive can be rough. We need to work on that. It's not always a fun thing to do with what's going on right now, but we have to look at the glass half full, not half empty. If we're coming in with a bad attitude at the office, then no one wants to be around you, and you're not going to be very productive at work. We don't disrupt the class, which means we don't disrupt our work. If we're at the office, employees are working. They're doing their job. That means you need to do yours. If you want to take a break and talk, go grab a coffee after 2 or 3 hours. Talk during lunch. Now, whether they're trying to do, no gabbing about the football game or anything when you're all trying to get your job done. Substance free. Do I really need to talk too much about this? Drugs? Really? You come in drunk in my office, you go home. I'm not smelling any kind of alcohol on your breath. My employees know that if they come in like that, they know they're going home, or they may not come back, period, because they have to deal with customers every day. And I don't want my customers smelling, booze on people. So that includes anything else with drugs. It's a pretty self-explanatory piece. Politically correct, no swearing. Okay. We've had a rough year. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, only because the effect is I think we've all seen it, from the rioting to Black Lives Matter. We need to be politically correct. We need to do our best. No swearing, no way of hurting other people with derogatory remarks. Everybody needs to try to work and be kosher, which means we're modeling good behavior. Wednesdays, remote days, positive member of remote days, virtual meetings, cameras and microphones are essential. Yes, look, I'm talking to you. I have people in the background. They're not talking while I'm talking. I have my headphones on. I have my microphone so you can hear me. This is how it works. and trying to be as positive as I can. And we're going to smile and we're going to talk and be energetic. Hey, follow cell phone procedure. Guess what? My cell phone's turned off. I'm talking to you. So if I'm talking to you, I'm not answering my phone. Again, we're back to being positive, which is what we should be. Again, don't want to come to the remote day all drunk or smoking or vaping. Just because you are in your house doesn't mean that what you are doing in front of everybody else is right. And that would be considered wrong, and there are consequences. Oh, we're back to politically correct and no swearing. Same aspect as in work as it applies to Wednesdays when we're on with the camera. And again, we're modeling good behavior because of it. Remote days. Every day. Very simple. Whether we are remote or we're not, whether we are live chatting with people or not, we're not swearing, we're not texting, we're not emailing while we're listening. We are focused on what we are doing. And last but certainly not least, I would really like to everybody understand this, is we do not use caps to send an email or a chat. Usually what this means is that you are yelling at somebody. This is not proper, okay? So if you are upset with somebody, sending an email does not really work. You need to talk to that person either over the phone or in person. Using an email and sending caps can send the wrong message, and it's a cop-out. So, because you're trying to hide behind words in an email that are when you need to be face-to-face with somebody. So, don't use caps. Find a way to talk to that person. Do a Zoom call, do a Google Meet, do a, FaceTime, whatever seems to work for you. So, and make sure you're submitting your work on time. Always submit your work on time. It makes you reliable and it makes you accountable. Hey, we talked about time management so many more times. I don't want to talk about time management anymore because we're just about out of time and I've got through everything that we need to do. So just remember, every day that you're doing this is still technically a little bit of a work day or a school day. So if you need help with time management, we go back to the other slides. Talk with your teacher. Talk with your boss. Help get those time management pieces that you need. Stay motivated. Talked a little bit more about that. Come up with ways that you can be motivated. Again, talk with your teacher. Talk with your boss. Come up with ways. If you don't have any ways, that's okay. That's why there are people out there that can help you figure this out. But you need to stay motivated. We still have about 4 or 5 months left of this year for school. And who knows where we're going to be at in the fall. Hopefully we're going to be back in class, but we got to be prepared for any contingency now with what's going on. So I hope everybody has had a good time with this conversation. If you have any questions, you feel free to put it into the chat feature below in the YouTube video. And y'all have a great and wonderful day.